Once a promising young man, Grant Amato spiraled into a dark abyss of addiction and obsession that led him to commit an unthinkable crime. Born and raised in Orlando, Florida, Grant was known to be very close with his family. Living with his parents and elder brother Cody, Grant's life seemed fairly normal. Following high school, the two brothers pursued nursing, aspiring to become nurse anesthetists. Despite facing hurdles in his studies, Grant managed to find a nursing job at a healthcare facility. However, this promising career was short-lived. In June of 2018, Grant's professional life took a hit when he was found responsible for 8 missing vials of the sedative medication, propofol, at his workplace. When confronted, he admitted to administering the drug to patients who he believed weren't adequately relaxed. This incident led to his termination, marking the beginning of a steep descent. His job loss was the catalyst for a series of events that would turn the Amato family's life upside down. In the aftermath of his job loss, Grant discovered an adult website, Cam Girls, where he met a Bulgarian model named Sylvie. This online encounter was not just a fleeting distraction for Grant, it was the beginning of a dangerous obsession, a fixation so intense it would ultimately lead to unspeakable tragedy. Grant and Sylvie quickly developed a unique relationship. He would pay for private chats, dances, and videos, all fairly standard on adult websites. But there was a significant problem. Grant was not wealthy. In fact, he was jobless and struggling financially. Yet, this didn't deter him. He began to weave a web of lies, telling his family he needed their credit cards to set up a Twitch account. He even took out a loan on the family home, all the while channeling the funds into his growing obsession with Sylvie. Grant's deception was elaborate. He convinced Sylvie that he was a wealthy professional video game streamer, showering her with gifts on top of the streaming fees he was incurring. He was living a lie, a fantasy world, anchored by the belief that he and Sylvie shared a genuine connection. The extent of his obsession was alarming. It's estimated that Grant accumulated around $300,000 of debt, all in his family's name. Every cent of that money was directed towards Sylvie, who remained oblivious to the truth. As Grant's obsession with Sylvie intensified, so did the tension within the Amato family. The fallout was imminent. Little did they know the consequences of Grant's dangerous obsession would be more devastating than they could ever imagine. The stage was set for a chilling confrontation, a family on the edge, and a man driven by an obsession that would ultimately consume him and everyone he held dear. As his obsession grew, so did the tension within the Amato family. In early 2019, the Amato family discovered the extent of Grant's deception and sent him to rehab. This was a desperate attempt to regain the son and brother they once knew, a man who had been swallowed by a digital addiction and the illusion of a relationship with a woman who existed for him only on a screen. The Amato family, struggling to comprehend the depth of Grant's obsession, made the difficult decision to intervene. Unraveling the web of lies and deceit, they found themselves staring at a mountain of debt, all accrued in their name and all funneled towards this online relationship. The family felt betrayed, their trust shattered. Yet they chose to fight for Grant, to pull him back from the precipice of this destructive path. Grant was enrolled in a rehab program, a concerted effort to address his burgeoning sex and internet addictions. This was not a simple journey. It was a process of unlearning, of reevaluating, of breaking down and building up again. It was a struggle against the allure of a digital world that offered escape and excitement, but at a devastating cost. Upon his return home, the family laid down an ultimatum. Grant was to sever all ties with Sylvie, the cam girl who unwittingly became the focus of his obsession. He was to find a job, to reclaim some semblance of the life he once led. This was the family's plea for normalcy, a desperate bid to turn the tide of their son's self-destruction. The ultimatum was clear. The stakes were high. The family home, the place where Grant had grown up, laughed and loved, hung in the balance. It was a choice between the familiar comfort of family and the intoxicating allure of a digital fantasy. But Grant was not ready to let go of his obsession. Despite the intervention, despite the rehab, despite the ultimatum, Grant found himself unable to break free from the shackles of his obsession. The family's desperate plea fell on deaf ears, setting the stage for a tragic turn of events that would forever mar the Amato family's legacy. Despite his family's efforts, Grant couldn't resist the allure of his online world. The virtual realm where he was a wealthy professional video game streamer, where he found comfort and connection, was far more enticing than the reality of his mounting debt and the desperate pleas of his family. Sylvie, the Bulgarian model, was the center of this world. Their conversations, the private dances, the videos, they were all anchors that kept pulling him back, even as he was supposed to be charting a new course for his life. His family had laid down the law: no more contact with Sylvie if he wanted to stay in their home. It was a simple choice, or at least it should have been. Yet, Grant's father discovered the truth. His son, despite the promises and the rehab, had continued his communication with Sylvie. It was a betrayal that ripped through the heart of the family's trust. The discovery led to a confrontation, a heated exchange of words that echoed through the walls of their home. His father's disappointment and anger were palpable. The lies, the deceit, the theft. It was all too much. The man who had once been a respected nurse, a trusted son, was now a stranger. The decision was painful but clear. Grant was told to pack his things and leave the family home. It was the final straw, the end of their patience, and the termination of their faith in his ability to change. Little did they know, this decision would have fatal consequences. In a horrifying turn of events, Grant's obsession led him to commit an unthinkable act. This is the scene where we recount the chilling end of the Amato family, a story that sends shivers down the spine of anyone who hears it. The day had started like any other in the Amato household, but behind the scenes, tensions were rising. Grant, having violated the ultimatum set by his family, was asked to leave home. This was a decision that was meant to help Grant, to push him to turn his life around. But it led to a chilling result that no one could have predicted. Feeling cornered and desperate, Grant committed the most heinous act imaginable. In a fit of rage and despair, he turned against the very people who were trying to help him. The details of the crime are too grim to recount, but suffice it to say that the Amato family met a tragic end at the hands of one of their own. The news of the crime sent shockwaves through the community. Neighbors and friends were left reeling, unable to comprehend the horrifying events that had unfolded in the quiet family home. It was a stark reminder of the devastating effects of addiction and the lengths to which it can drive people. As the investigation unfolded, the dark truth came to light. The man they knew as a brother, a son, a friend was responsible for the tragedy. The man who was once a promising nurse, now a convicted murderer. The story of Grant Amato is a tragic tale of a man lost in his obsession, a man who allowed his addiction to cloud his judgment and ultimately lead him down a path of destruction. It's a stark reminder of the power addiction can hold over an individual and the devastating consequences it can have on those around them. In the wake of this tragedy, we are left to ponder the devastating effects of addiction and deception. It is a chilling reminder that we must take addiction seriously and do all we can to help those who are struggling before it's too late. As Grant Amato's story is a stark reminder of how addiction can devastate lives. It underscores the lethal potential of unchecked obsessions, especially those fueled by the limitless expanse of the internet. Here, we see a man spiraling into an abyss of deception, fueled by an insatiable need for a connection he believed was real. His story also highlights the dangers of deceit, where a false persona not only bankrupted a family, but led to its ultimate destruction. It's a chilling testament to how lies can snowball into a catastrophic ordeal, causing irreparable damage. It's crucial to recognize the role mental health support could have played in this narrative. Early intervention, effective rehabilitation, and ongoing support might have changed the course of this story. The tragedy of the Amato family underscores the urgent need for accessible and comprehensive mental health care, especially in dealing with complex issues like internet and sex addiction. As we remember the Amato family, let us strive to learn from their tragic story and work towards preventing such devastating incidents in the future.